All right. We will proceed on to the next item of business. Sheriff Headley and Cole Crim. Somebody please at the panel.
Start out, Mike?
The mic.
Mike. Just like we talked in the executive session, I'd like to start a tactical emergency medical team to serve the county, the schools in particular. You know, situations I've been in, I've needed them. I have to wait for 2 or 3 hours for them to get here, and I'd just like to ask for the funding to start my own team.
Would you care to explain that funding?
We're going to need a lot of new equipment that we don't have. You know, we need some new rifles, a couple new pistols, holsters, protective gear, supplies for class, including ammunition, the training. The cost of the class per person is $500, and there'll be 5 of us. The entry tools is $1,500. The ambulance we talked about, it's a Chinook now. Cole can go into that. The frame is fine. It does need some mechanical work, but we're going to go ahead and fix it. It's nothing that's going to hurt the driving of it. The weaponry is, the AR rifles are $4,500. To outfit them is $2,000. The 2 new pistols will be $1,200. The holsters are $1,000.
For 2?
For everybody.
Oh,
There are different holsters.
Okay, all right.
Protective gear, it's level 4 body armor, which cannot be penetrated. A total for that is $7,200. Supplies for the class, including the ammunition and the magazines, is $5,000. Cost of the class per person, like I said, was $500 for a total of $3,000. And the entry tools to get in a building, if we need to get in it, is $1,500. And modifications to the response vehicle, which is not the mechanical stuff that is being done now. That's the stuff that we need to put in there to lock our stuff in. It's $5,000 for a total of $30,500.
Okay.
So the ambulance that we had inspected through Total Care in Clarksburg back in January under the recommendation of our previous board president, Ed Cumston, they came to a total that the truck, the frame was rusted through, and it was going to cost approximately $12,000 to fix. We have since sent it to Children Ford, and they said the frame is fine. The cab mounts also need replaced for the cab of the truck, but the frame was in good standing condition. It needs some front universal joints, 4x4 hubs. The total came to about $3,300 is what it was going to cost to fix it, to make it roadworthy.
And I'll take that out of my budget and stuff.
Okay.
Mike,
Yes.
can you tell the people in here about the story you told us about how long it took you to get that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Myself, I was in a situation, it's been 3 or 4 months ago now. It was a hostage situation. I got there and I had to wait it was between 2 and 3 hours, close to 3 hours. And I was just, all I could do was stand there and wait to where the state rounded their guys up. And, you know, they're strung out all over. They're not just right here. With this team, I can make the call. We can be there in half hour, 20 minutes. And I'm going to branch it out to the surrounding counties too. Ritchie, Tyler, Lewis, you know, whoever might need us. But yeah, and in that situation, he had his mom and dad held hostage. He'd already beat his mother up, threatened to kill her, had a hatchet, was going to use a hatchet on her, and I couldn't do nothing. I just, you know, I was held at bay. You know, yeah. With this team, we could have been in and out of there in 20 minutes. Because once they got there, it wasn't 20 minutes, so we were done. And that's not the main thing. That and the school system.
If the school's all right with the
Yeah,
system,
I mean, we've got prime targets there, and Ridge County is probably the worst, as Beth can tell you. You can walk in there, anybody can walk in and get any kid.
Can you explain that for me and everybody else, I guess? You can walk in and get any kid.
I don't know how Ritchie
What
County
do you
works.
mean?
I'm just going to what she said at the last meeting, and I've heard it from other people. You can't do that at our schools. But, you know, anybody can go through the windows in our schools, you know,
Yeah.
bust through the windows, anything like that. Ritchie County, I guess, you can just walk in. And that, is that high school? The high school?
I know it's in the grade schools and all because
There's no security system
no,
for it?
the doors aren't locked and they don't question. Like this guy went in to get his step-grandchildren. They didn't know him from Adam. He walked in, he could ask for anybody to get.
And I've heard that from more than Beth. I mean, I've heard it before. She brought it up at the last meeting, but that's sad. That really is.
Do you want to touch on instituting the medical care into the team also?
I'll let you, since you're in the medical profession.
So the ambulance authorities want to institute some members into this team. There'll be tactical medics on the team, following Homeland Security's details. These teams are providing initial medical service. So let's just say, for example, that something happened in the school. We can provide initial medical care with this team. They can clear the first room, clear the second room. They come across an injured child. They can provide initial medical care and extricate that child at that time. Some of the instances, like in Columbine, some of the kids were shot, had slow bleeds, died 8 hours later because they did not receive initial medical care. So we're going to provide that medical care with this team, and Homeland Security does recommend these days that we do institute those medical personnel into these teams. Bridgeport's done it, Harrison County has done it, so we're going to institute that into this team.
And I've heard, you know, it's never going to happen here. Well, we've got 3 prime targets. It can happen here any day. I hope it never does, but if it does, I'd like to be ready.
Okay, I've got a question for you. Either one of you can answer. Did you say $30,000?
Yes.
I hear that.
Yes.
Okay. 30,500 total.
And that's a one-time cost.
That's just what question was going to be.
Yeah, that's one time.
What you going to have to do year from year? Next year, what are you going to have to do?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Keep the vehicle maintained. That's it. This equipment will stay. If somebody drops out or doesn't want to be a part of it anymore, the only cost will be the $500, which will be nothing. I'll come out of somebody's budget. But this is a one-time cost.
Okay, and your main purpose of establishing this is for the hostage situation?
No,
or-
my main purpose, well, that was just a situation that I could have used it. And I
Okay.
could have used it in Ritchie County also, because I got called down there one day for the same thing.
Okay,
My main thing is the schools.
okay.
Okay.
Are the current officers in the school included in this program?
No, because they'll already be in the school. If something would happen, they would already be in there.
Okay, so that,
Because-
what about the training?
The training, they could probably be implemented into it. I mean, they've already had partial training with that,
Okay,
but nothing like this is.
yeah.
I mean, this is pretty,
Personally, I would think that that would be
yes, absolutely.
desirable, but do you all have any objection to opening it up to questions from the public?
I don't know.
What does the county superintendent and the Board of Education think about this? I know that they just did a specialized training,
No, they're all for it. Anything that we can do to keep the kids.
and they voted on this and have said
This never been brought before the board of, the school board, no.
okay.
Very on.
I guess maybe I have a concern. You're mentioning Ritchie County. So if you're responding to a situation in Ritchie County, what happens to Doddridge County? And the sheriff, you know, our tax dollars,
Yeah.
I would think the emphasis would be for protecting our county. I realize that dangerous situations cross county
Right.
lines.
Yes, we have that mutual aid
And
agreement.
when you first started speaking, you were talking about weapons, etc., and needing them from the schools. And I know there are some pretty nasty kids out there, but
It's not the kids we're worried about, it's the people outside.
right, the parents, and apparently, like
Not necessarily
Doddridge has a thing set up where nobody, you know, you can't sign a kid out. I went through that when my child was in school. I mean, you had to have identification, etc. And it just
Well, that was just an example of how easy it is to get in Ritchie County. I know Doddridge is not like that, but you get some crazy guy, he's just gonna blow the windows out and go in if he wants to.
Right, and Cole mentioned, the situation that happened, 10, 15 years ago, Columbine. And yeah, I mean, that whole situation, what occurred there, I would think at this point in time, that there's more stuff set up in place. I know the schools have had assorted trainings for teachers, like people are more aware of what can happen, et cetera. I mean, it just blows me away that this occurs, okay? But
It does, it does.
It happens almost every day anymore, it seems like.
I know it
happens
does,
here.
I know it does, and it's really heartbreaking, and it's heartbreaking, and, well, I just, whatever, it's blowing them away, listening to what the weapons you're asking for, thank you for listening, and thank you for the opportunity
Yes,
to
ma'am.
have me speak.
I've just got to say that if what you're asking, a mere amount, that is a minimal amount. And if because you have that, you've saved one life, whether that be in a school system or in someone's home,
That's
that you don't have
nothing.
to wait
That's nothing
3
compared
hours
to a
on.
life.
How can you put a price on a life?
You can't, you know, that, and that's just the equipment. Yeah, that's all that is.
Okay.
Will your members be living in county or out of county?
In county. In county. I mean, yeah, they
That-
will be here.
Even the medics?
Yeah, I'm sure.
I have plans, yeah, to move, to also be in county after my lease is up.
Yes, and the other one does live in county.
I'm concerned from both directions with this. I don't want anything to happen in our schools and all that. But I know from Harrison County, where I taught, more so than here even, but the year after I retired, I could not walk in that building and walk back upstairs to my friend's room and take her a gift. I had to be signed in, they'd have picture ID hanging on me, they had to get something, really, they had to get somebody to come down and escort me to where I was going.
Right.
Now, you're saying that we're gonna help out the counties around us, and we're gonna help out Ritchie County?
If needed.
If they don't, well, we're gonna offer that up front, right? We're gonna say, we'll be here
Oh,
if you
yes,
need it,
yes.
right? Okay, so what I'm saying is, if they don't have anything like that in place,
They
now,
have,
I know that some, crazy whatever can always get in regardless of what, there's always that possibility. They sneak in with somebody, some kid opens the door for somebody, that's one of the easiest things to get someone to do. But if they don't have anything in place,
they have a PRO officer, but I think it's just in the high school. Yeah, I mean, they're middle school and stuff.
yeah, well, this should be for every school, that there should be, control of who goes in and sign out and all that.
Oh, I agree 100%.
Whether you're
It's
just
just
in the
not like
building for a
that.
few minutes or you're gonna take somebody with you, but, can we not leverage something there? And do a whole, the fact that we're doing this on the per chance happening, which are gonna be relatively few and far between as far as our
Yes.
area.
I hope it never happens.
Right, but at the same time, if we can use it as leverage to get them to at least be more controlled.
More
Because
aware.
one of the toughest things we ran into was having somebody who'd been thrown out of school, came with a knife, and we threw him out of school for you. And then he's coming back and he's madder than he ever was. Nobody, they kick the kid out of school for a whole year, but they don't require that he get any psychological counseling during that year. So it's that kind of thing is gonna be probably more than any, but again, we need to have the control over who comes in that door.
And I'll put this out, like a basketball game at the high school, middle school, anywhere. Anybody can walk in there. Anybody can walk in. I mean, they're not going through a detector or nothing. They're just walking in. So you just don't know.
Just one other comment. You said that where you engage with Ritchie and the other counties, likewise, they offer that same back to Doddridge if we need them.
They do,
correct?
yes. Every county, all 55 counties, we have a mutual aid agreement. Now, I'm not going to expect an all county to come to Doddridge County or something like that, but yeah, we do have the mutual aid agreement.
What is the closest county that has something like this?
Harrison.
Harrison has one?
And it takes 3 hours to come from Harrison County down?
It wasn't Harrison County, it was the state police version, which they are stationed around the state. Yes.
Why didn't Harrison come?
Don't know.
Were they called?
I don't know who was called. I radioed for the SRT team. I don't know who Central Communications got hold of, but the state police is the ones that came. Even if it was Harrison County, you know, you got a time, they got to get ready, got to get travel time and all that.
Do you have a backup driver in case you're not available?
Yes, I will appoint them. Yes, I will.
I know you stated that you was gonna be the.
Yes, I'm 99% of the time it'll be me, but yes, I will appoint somebody.
So how much was that training?
Training is $500 per person.
Okay,
So
so,
it's, I think, is it a week long? Or then you gotta go every year, but the yearly stuff is nothing.
so if we added $1,000 to that,
You could put the
did you
two,
put the two
Yes.
PRO officers?
yes. Yes.
Would they want to go, Mikey?
Oh, yes, yes, they would jump at the chain, any training they can get, they'll go for.
It makes more sense than having training too, they're already there.
Yeah, because they'd already be inside, they would be. Yeah, okay.
Any other questions?
I just think that maybe, I know you said you've talked with the superintendent and whatever, but I think before, well, I may be wrong about this, but I would think that before we go ahead with all this, wanting it mainly for the schools, although there are gonna be other situations, maybe we ought to wait
The
till they
school-
take a vote.
The school has given us a green light for anything. I can go up there at any time with the dogs, with anything, and go through that school. Any of the schools. I have a green light anytime.
I know from the last LAPC meeting, the schools and Pat were to meet to build their emergency plan
Mhm.
and for stuff like this.
Mhm. This-
Where would this fit within?
This will be, yes, it will be incorporated in there somehow, once we sit down and make the plans. It will be incorporated somehow within that.
Is there some provision for oversight of the team?
As in personnel, or,
I would think mostly with personnel.
yes, I have the team picked out, yes, I do.
What about psychological stuff for the teams?
Yes, that can be, if needed, yes, it will be provided. Yeah, and we have the medical director out of, is it UHC? UHC that's involved too.
I'm more comfortable with the medical part than the weapons.
Well, weapons are for safety, I mean,
Well, I understand what they're for.
whoever the other person is gonna have that weapon, so.
I understand what they're for.
Any other questions? Do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion we approve their, if you want the 31,500 for the two.
That makes sense to me.
You said to me.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the funding for the emergency response team of $31,500. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Can you get me a list of the things so I can send out a budget? Because that can be put into it.
I'll just go ahead and give you this. Just get it back to him tomorrow. Thank you, guys.
Anyway,